Even before the tragic failures of Overwatch 2, Overwatch 1 was already on a decline the last 3 years of its life. Regardless, one man slingshotted himself to superstardom as the game he played burned and faded around him. The one, the only, Flats.
My doctor when I was a small child was actually like evil. She was actually like an evil old witch. Dude, the good mercies are like actual F-22 raptors just going literally took this kid's face and just like slammed it and grinded it on the fence. Oh, let's go! I'm actually fucking insane, dude! Let's go! Hey, you know what? If that's the only reason why you're here, get the man.
Flats, the god tier tank, super chatter, and all-around personality is the biggest name in Overwatch today, but 4 years ago, no one knew his name. So this really begs the question, where did Flats come from? Now for that, we're gonna have to go back, and I mean way back, to April 16th, 1996, Flats was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, Flats was raised sheltered, rarely being allowed to go outside, and because of this, he is self-described as weird because he misunderstood social cues from being so sheltered, and because of this, throughout his elementary and middle school years, he was bullied, although oftentimes he would not take this lying down at all.
Yeah, I'd get bullied, but I'd throw, I'd swing. I did not give a fuck. I had less fucks to give than anything else.
Throughout Flats' childhood experiences, he built a self-described toughness and confidence that he attributes much of his successes to now later in life. Now in high school, 6-foot-tall IRL Reinhardt Flats literally flattened a kid in a dispute playing football, earning him the nickname Flats, which he stuck with to this very day. Now, Flats ended up actually going to a top-tier business school and got a degree in business. He then used his degree in business to get a job in the Overwatch League. But once again, we're getting way too far ahead of ourselves. How did Flats even come to play Overwatch at all? Now, in the times before his Overwatch climb to high ranks as a notable Rhine main, Flats was a console player, specifically a Siege semi-pro. Rainbow Six Siege is Ubisoft's military-style shooter. Now, Flats at the time was not only a semi-pro controller player, but he was known in the community as someone with god-tier controller aim. And keep in mind that at the time, controller had 0 aim assist, so he played versus mouse and keyboard pros and succeeded without any aim assist on controller, which is actually insanely impressive. And it kind of makes you wonder what would have happened to Apex Flats if that happened instead of Overwatch, but I regress. Now, Flats' team at the time constantly edged into making it into Pro League, but internal problems always messed with their consistency, and over time, after enough failed attempts, they eventually disbanded, and Flats left for something new. He would mess around in a game for about a year called Ark Survival Evolved, but he just didn't have that competitive drive anymore, with Siege being a primarily competitive game and Ark being a game he simply played to have fun and mess around with. Now, his friends would start to play something new, and they picked up a game called Overwatch, and convinced Flats to pick it up as well. And the first time Flats played Overwatch was on February 28th, 2017, the day that Ironclad Bastion was introduced into Overwatch. And for those of you who don't know, because you haven't pressed that subscribe button, Ironclad Bastion was when Bastion was the most broken character in the entire game. 35% less damage in take form, and he was simply unstoppable. Now, while many people were turtling up with this overpowered Bastion, Flats had a different plan in mind.
And I was annoyed that I'm thought of as like, you know, shit. So I was like, all right, f this dude, I'll pick this game up, I'll try it seriously. So I picked it up, and that day, the Bastion, Ironclad Bastion had come out. So I played Bastion as basically how soldiers played. But basically I was just walking around the map and then setting up his turret. I played Ironclad Bastion for 1 week, and I went from 1700 to 3K in 1 week. And I was like, oh, this game's easy.
Now, eventually, though, all of Flats' friends would move over to PC, and they chipped in $900 so that they could buy him a PC and they could all play together, which is just actually the coolest thing I've ever heard. But Flats, who was mega reliant on his aim before, his godly console aim was now a bit of a bot on PC, at least at first. But as Flats started to learn the game more and more and his game sense improved, his aim still lagged behind. As someone who has played their entire life on console, making that swap over is incredibly difficult, and in a moment of clarity, Flats would swap his primary role to something that would change his career forever.
So that's how I ended up role swapping, is after a full season, I was just stuck high diamond, low masters. I couldn't break it. So I swapped to main tank and I hit GM in a week. Just...
Now, back in college, Flats graduated with that business degree and actually got hired as the community coordinator for an Overwatch League team, the Boston Uprising. There are even some posts that he made still up on Reddit 4 years ago, like this one. Quote, "Hi all, my name is Flats and I'm the community coordinator for the Boston Uprising." Now, while the ending here is a bit tragic, he did meet someone that was very pivotal to his overall career and development as a person. And while you've probably never heard of him before, he became incredibly close friends with CarQ. I'm just kidding. Everyone knows CarQ, and they met when Flats was a community coordinator, and they became very, very close friends and still are to this day. Now, CarQ, already being a successful content creator and streamer at the time, definitely helped Flats find direction through this next hard stage in his life. In March of 2020, Flats was let go as the community coordinator for the Boston Uprising. As someone who's worked a lot of esports jobs myself, this is how it kind of goes. Underpaid, primarily being fueled by passion, but when you're let go, it definitely is a very rough point, especially when you don't know if you'll ever get an opportunity like that again. Now, his friend CarQ did give him a small nudge to stream more and make content. And combined with that idea to pursue content with his marketing understanding that he obtained through his degree in business school, he began to post and create content around his ranked exploits, and oh boy, did he create some content. As a very high-ranked tank player at the time, he would often play with many of the top streamers and players at the time, and they would be very often in many of his videos. Now, just 3 months after Flats decided to pursue full-time content after getting let go by the Boston Uprising, he became a partner on Twitch. On Twitter, he posted this, quote, "I was gonna make a tweet all about me, but in reality, it's all about all of you. To everyone in the community who has helped me, this community took me in when I was laid off from my job with Uprising, and I didn't know what the future held for me. This is for you. Thank you." Now, for someone that didn't have anything to do with Overwatch at all until the later stages of Overwatch's life cycle, to being part of the community, fired from his primary job, but then being partnered on Twitch, this is already an amazing feat, but this didn't stop there. Throughout this time, Flats became known as the Chatter God, walking around in practice range, ranting about anything from balance to his life and anything in between. A unique type of creator that you truly got to know on a deeper level than just as an Overwatch player who plays ranked. And through this, he consistently popped off, and he popped off hard. He posted this a year after he got let go from his job on Twitter. Quote, "1 year ago today, I was fired/laid off from my job with the Uprising. I made the decision that day to chase my dream and start streaming. The support y'all have given me this past year has been unbelievable. Thank you so much for letting me live my dream every day." He posted his exploits with 50k subs on YouTube, hitting 4.6k in Overwatch in top 10, and being on the front page of Blizzard Launcher. These was incredible feats, especially at the time when you consider the state of the game. Flats was on an upwards trajectory at the same time that Overwatch was trending downhill, with the majority of the developers actually mobilizing for Overwatch 2. Flats somehow did the impossible, growing at a dramatic pace while the game was slowly dying. Now, it'd be at this time that Flats would thank a lot of the people that helped him along the way. CarQ for being in his corner, J3 for hosting him and giving him a big break while streaming, and Emong for being a mentor and a best friend to him. All three of these people that are well known in the community helped him along the way, and Flats didn't forget it. Now, a few months later, in September of 2021, Flats got signed as a content creator for the Florida Mayhem. Now, while this seemed like a really big deal at the time, it was nothing but a stepping stone for what Flats would inevitably become. All this time, Overwatch 1 was on the decline and Flats was skyrocketing, hitting new peaks in game, new follower count and subscriber count. The combination of interesting YouTube content of reacting to bronze, chatter streams, and popping off gameplay just made him rise at a crazy fast rate. Now, it floated like that for a while until Overwatch 2 finally dropped, and Flats was in the perfect position to skyrocket to superstar status. The content strategy that Flats experimented with in Overwatch 1 was perfected by Overwatch 2. Content started pouring out from everywhere, including many channels, million-view pop-offs like the complete guide to all Overwatch 2 tanks, and very importantly, his consistency. Content, uploads, streams. Not only did Flats get very rewarded for being consistent before Overwatch 2 by building a fan base, but he was better prepared to capitalize on the Overwatch 2 hype than just about anyone else. 500,000 followers on Twitch, over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, did nearly all of it during a time when Overwatch was actually being written off and falling down, and then finally got a huge boost at the end with the launch of Overwatch 2. But as you know, all good things must come to an end. Overwatch 2 developers dropped the news that skill trees, the MMO-style huge scope of a game that Overwatch 1 died to create, is not gonna happen. At least not even close to the pitched version that we were promised back in 2019. For someone like Flats, who stood by Overwatch in the worst of times, it's a hard thing to take, and honestly, Flats has surpassed his need for Overwatch in many ways. People like me need that subscribe button pressed, and to only generate Overwatch content and pray that it doesn't die or go anywhere, else my career probably dies with it. But for Flats, anything he does, wherever he goes, he's gonna be a superstar with or without Overwatch. And sadly, according to Flats himself, he's already got one foot out the door.
Chat, I'm be just real with you. I'm so damn tired. I've basically been fighting for shit for this game for the last 3.5 years, through the ups and the downs, the goods and the bads, whether people agreed with me or disagreed with me. I think I'm out of gas. I think that's it. At least there's cool shit coming in season 6, but I'd probably see myself leaving Overwatch after season 6. Play the campaign, play the stuff that we waited years for, play our one time, have our one last trip around the sun at that point, and then I think we head out. We head out, boys.